anytime that more than a foot of snow falls on a pre-existent snow surface layer that's been freezing and thawing and freezing and thawing, so that it's kind of an icy surface or a crusty surface, and you get a more than a foot of snow fall on that, on a slope that would be killer for sledding, tobogganing, that kind of thing, that's an avalanche risk. Anytime when the snow is falling so heavily that you can't see the trees, for example, across the intersection, like the distance of a downtown street intersection, you can't see the trees over there. The snow is falling greater than an inch an hour. Those are the harbingers, so to speak, of avalanche risk, increasing avalanche risk. You've got a lot of new weight sitting on an old surface, and it's going to want to move because of gravity whenever there's an incline. So come May, there are fewer big storms, so there's less avalanche risk. You need to realize that, yeah, you could have a bigger storm. Typically in May, over the last 40 years, I've gotten snowstorms that only amounted to maybe 4 or 8 inches, but it doesn't mean you can't get 2 and 3 feet, because that's happened too. I just haven't always been out there when it happened. But you've got to have the right tent, you've got to have the right shoes, you got to have the right wisdom, and that's what you're asking about, and I really appreciate that, to know where to walk and where not to walk. The mountains will tell you where you see no trees in vertical lines coming down the hillsides on the canyons to your right and your left. Those are old avalanche paths. Trees don't just grow to a line and stop on a hillside. There's something that took them out. And so during the winter, these avalanches happen, and they contain feet of ice and heavy structures of ice, and they snap 2-foot trees and no problem at all. And in the summer, you hike through these and you're thinking, la-di-da, no big deal. And you kind of like come out of the trees and you're kind of wondering, wow, why did the trees just end? And you look around and you see nothing but stumps all pushed over in the same direction facing downhill. And you go, oh shit, man, an avalanche happened here somewhere in the past. So when you see these patterns in the snow on the canyon walls above you, don't camp there. When you think about camping on a creek, camping at a lake, look around above you, because the avalanches don't start on the flats. They start on the steep slopes above you. So look up. It's another takeaway expression. It's a rough one, 2 words. Look up. When you're hiking, look up and assess the clouds for weather. Look up and look for trail sign in trees, cut branches, stuff like that. Thru hikers frustrate the shit out of me because they're always looking down to make sure they don't trip. Okay, that's perfect on a dry trail. But the nice thing about May on snow is it's all smooth. You don't have a trip hazard now. You have other hazards. And that's what we're talking about. So when it comes to avalanche safety, you have less worry, except to maybe think about where to walk, where not to walk. Take this away. Ridges and valleys are the safest routes. I don't care where the trail goes. I care to be safe. The trail is designed for stock use, horses, donkeys, burros, whatever. So it's graded, and they choose ramps and stuff that work to accomplish that purpose for summer use, not winter use. So you thru hikers who think, oh my God, if I'm not standing on the trail, I'm lost. Another different mindset. You're going into a whole different environment. There's no trail. You're making a trail. You're choosing your own trail. You're going to choose the safest route to get where the trail goes. The trail, where's it going? It's going down to the creek. Switchbacks all the way down, right? Because creeks are usually at the bottom of a trench of some kind. The safest route for you is not going to be on the switchbacks, because what do? They take you across steep hillsides. It's the traverses. They're going to kill you. So stay away from them, unless there's a boot track. If there's a boot track, it's a different story. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at your, Jackie, I love it. Keep laughing. I love it. And Carol, you're going to take your GPS that shows the little dot where you are, and it shows the dashed line where the trail is. And you're going to say, okay, that tells me how close I am to the trail, but I don't like where the trail goes. So I need my paper map that has a bigger range of miles. You know, say it's 8-10 miles long by 5 miles wide. I have all of that terrain to choose how to get down to the creek. And then once I get down to the creek, I've got to memorize from up top where I can look down at the creek. I got to memorize how to get out of the creek once I'm down there, because once I'm down there, I'm in trees and I don't know where the hell I am. So once again, you've got to pick safe routes. You hit the trail periodically. That way you always know that you're kind of on the general path. But the beauty of the Sierras is it's line of sight navigation. From one pass, you can see the next pass. The difficulty will be down in the trees. So that's when you're going to use your GPS. And I check my GPS about every 100 feet. That's not very many steps because the terrain is all lumpy and changing. And you're always assessing in a micro view, how do I want to go around this bump? How do I want to go around that tree? How do I want to deal with this depression in the snow? I don't know what's at the bottom of the depression. I don't want a post hole down there, so I'm going to walk on white. I'm going to follow my little ridges, and I'm going to work my way in the general direction that I want to go. It's all general navigation as you bump into the trail periodically. And you only know it because your GPS tells you, oh, I'm on the trail, which is like, okay, you feel reassurance, and that's wonderful. But as far as back to avalanche stuff, really don't have to worry about it. Keep in mind where the safe places are to walk. Keep in mind where the dangerous places are to walk. If you don't know, do some research, take a class. I used to offer this one-day class where it was an intensive freaking 8 hours, and I would just go like I'm going right now, just pounding information into you guys. And we would hit all of this stuff, but I could point. I say, look up there. You see what that thing is? That thing on the ridge is called a cornice. You guys go, what the hell is a cornice? What's he talking about? Here we go again. And a cornice is an overhang of a snow diving board kind of thing. And it develops on the not windward side, which would be the windy side of the ridge, but on the leeward side of the ridge, snow will grow out from the ridge. It's blown by the wind and it sticks to itself and it creates this overhang. Now, when the snow gets warm and wetter and heavier, these cornices fall down. And when they fall down, all of that weight overloads the snowpack underneath them, and then that snowpack may move. So in June, not May, unless you have a very warm May because if it's been a drought winter, these cornices won't be an issue in May after a normal to heavy winter. But if you're out there still in June and you're like banging around in Yosemite because you've made it that far, look up and see if there are any cornices above you, because that's not the place to be. Make a wide circle, look around, because if there's a cornice now, there has been in the past. And you may see avalanche sign. Well, like, for example, one of the most common signs of previous avalanche activity in an area is your trees won't have any branches facing uphill. All the branches on the tree will be facing downhill because they all got ripped off by previous avalanches in the past. Oh, okay, so I'm looking up, I see a cornice, I see trees without branches on the uphill side. Do I want to walk across this opening? Maybe not. So I'm going to follow it all the way down. I'm going to follow the tree line all the way down and cross down by the creek where the previous avalanches stopped. And you'll notice because there the trees are again.